It's a Saturday night in July, 2018. A campground nestled in the mountains of western Montana, 35 miles outside Missoula. Steam rises off natural hot springs. Families are winding down for the night. Then the first call comes in. A man is trespassing. Not for the first time. He's already been warned twice, already been ticketed once. But this time, something is different. He's agitated. He's talking about a baby. And within minutes, campground staff will realize this is no longer a trespassing complaint. It's the beginning of a 9-hour nightmare that will end with 2 grown men on their knees in the dirt, praying for a miracle in the middle of a 2-million-acre forest. This is the story of Francis Crowley and the baby the world would come to call the miracle child of Lolo National Forest. At around 8 p.m. on July 7th, 2018, dispatchers at the Missoula County Sheriff's Office start fielding a string of frantic calls from Lolo Hot Springs Resort. A man is causing a disturbance. Staff say he's already been trespassed off the property once. He was ticketed for it. And now he's back, yelling at guests. Deputies are sent out. But before they even arrive, the calls escalate. The man is now telling people he can't find his baby. He's approaching strangers, asking them over and over if the child in their arms is his. Witnesses describe him as frantic, disoriented, and increasingly aggressive. Then it gets worse. Someone reports he has a gun in his pocket and is threatening an employee. A woman, the baby's mother, is seen standing in the middle of the road, panicking, unsure where her son is. Dispatch is now juggling a possible weapon, a missing infant, and a suspect who won't stay in one place long enough for deputies to catch up to him. The man is identified. 32-year-old Francis Carlton Crowley, originally from Portland, Oregon. Sheriff's officials will later say Crowley wasn't a stranger to this stretch of forest. He, the baby's mother, and the child had been camping in the area for some time. By the time deputies physically catch up with Crowley, he's alone. No baby. And what he tells them next will send an entire county into the woods in the middle of the night. Crowley claims he was in a car crash. He says he went off the road, that the baby was in the vehicle with him, and somewhere between the wreck and walking back to the hot springs, the story starts to fall apart. A reserve deputy staying at the campground as a guest offers to drive Crowley and the baby's mother, Alicia, out to search for the crash site himself. It's a decision that will matter more than anyone realizes that night. In the truck, Crowley can't say which direction they crashed, how far up the road it was, or how long ago it happened. The reserve deputy will later describe him as bouncing in his seat, unable to hold a coherent thought, visibly under the influence of something. Then, according to witnesses in the vehicle, Alicia, panicking, asks him directly, "Where is my baby?" Crowley turns around and says he gave the child to the maintenance guy. It's a lie. There is no maintenance guy. There is no one who has the baby. As deputies begin retracing Crowley's movements, the truth becomes undeniable. Somewhere out in nearly 2 million acres of national forest, in the dark, a 5-month-old infant is completely alone. Sheriff's investigators later determined Crowley was under the influence of a dangerous combination of methamphetamine and bath salts. His account of the night is riddled with contradictions. One moment the baby is buried. The next moment he's alive somewhere. The next he's insisting he can see the baby's arms reaching up toward him. None of it lines up. What the search teams do know is this: Crowley crashed a car. Somewhere. Missoula County Search and Rescue is activated. So is the U.S. Forest Service, the Bureau of Land Management, and the Montana Highway Patrol. Deputies break the surrounding area into grid sections because, as one search captain later put it, Lolo Hot Springs is completely surrounded by Forest Service land, crisscrossed by countless back roads, any one of which could lead to a crash site. There's no cell service out there. Radios barely work. Hours pass. Then, close to 1 a.m., searchers find it. A car that had swerved off a rarely used road, punched through brush, and rolled down a steep embankment. Scattered across the wreckage path, baby formula, toys, articles of clothing, an empty car seat. No baby. The crash site instantly becomes ground zero. Every available searcher converges on the ravine below it. Two of them, Missoula County Sheriff's Deputy Ross Jessup and U.S. Forest Service Officer Nick Schultz, begin combing the base of the slope. It leads nowhere. Frustrated and needing to clear his head, Jessup decides to move uphill instead, away from the wreckage. Schultz follows him. It is now well past midnight. The temperature has dropped to around 46 degrees. The baby, wherever he is, has already been alone in the wilderness for hours. Jessup will later say he prayed at the bottom of that ravine, asking God to help him find the child. 15-20 minutes into climbing uphill, he hears it. A faint whimper. Both men freeze. A call for radio silence goes out across the search frequency so everyone can listen. They follow the sound. Jessup is stepping carefully through a pile of sticks and debris when something makes him look down. He is one motion away from bringing his full weight and his boot directly onto the spot where the baby's head is buried. He stops just in time. Underneath the debris, a 5-month-old boy, face down, cold, wearing nothing but a soaked and soiled onesie. He'd been covered, deliberately or not, by sticks and forest litter. He is unconscious to the world around him, but breathing. Jessup scoops him up immediately, pressing him to his chest, checking for breath, warming him with his own body. It's roughly 2:30 in the morning. The baby has been alone in the Montana wilderness for at least 9 hours. He is rushed to a hospital. Doctors list his condition as good. Dehydrated, cold, with cuts and bruises, but alive. 4 days later, he's released into protective custody with Montana's Child Welfare Services. Sheriff T.J. McDermott would later call it exactly what everyone who searched that night believed it to be: a miracle. Francis Crowley is arrested and charged with felony criminal endangerment, later adding assault on a minor and additional endangerment charges. At his first court appearance, appearing by video from jail, he collapses, doubling over, falling to the floor, sobbing as the allegations are read aloud. Investigators eventually clarify the relationship at the center of the case. Crowley was the baby's uncle. The child, whose name would later be shared by family as Grayson, had been in his care that day, while the baby's mother worked at the hot springs. Nearly a year later, Crowley pleads guilty to criminal endangerment and child endangerment, and pleads no contest to assault on a minor. In March 2019, he's sentenced to 30 years in the Montana State Prison, with 10 years suspended. At sentencing, the two men who found the baby take the stand. Officer Schultz says simply that the case changed him, that he didn't know a person could do something like this to a small child. Deputy Jessup is more direct, addressing Crowley face to face, describing exactly how close his own boot came to crushing the baby's skull as he stepped through that pile of debris in the dark. Crowley, for his part, breaks down again, calling himself a failure, insisting through tears that despite everything, he loved the child. Grayson survived 9 hours alone in freezing temperatures in one of the largest stretches of wilderness in the American West. Found only because one exhausted deputy decided to walk uphill instead of down, and happened to hear a sound most people would have missed entirely. Search and rescue teams who were there that night still call it the kind of case you don't forget. Not because of how it started, but because of how close it came to ending very, very differently.